Hey everyone, welcome to my February 2023 book haul video. This is a new series that I started, which is very casual, completely unscripted, where I just go through the books that I've bought for the month. I tend to do a book haul every single month, and I thought, hey, why not share what I'm buying? Hopefully, it adds as an impetus or some sort of inspiration for you to read some of these books and delve into some of these thinkers. I certainly love watching other people's book haul videos. It's something I get a lot of just, it's kind of like eating fast food for me. Just pure stimulation and pleasure from looking at all the books that people buy because I happen to be a bibliophile and fanatical one, in fact. And apart from that, I'll probably will discuss why I chose to buy this particular book in this point in my life. What's the reason that I'm interested in this particular book or this thinker and whatnot? But again, it's nothing planned. It's nothing scripted. It's just me, stream of consciousness, just talking. That's it. Without further ado, let's get started. So the first book is Phenomenology: The Basics by Dan Zahavi. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. I literally found this book off Reddit. I kind of went through this before. I think I got a PDF or something, but I did refer to this a couple of times when I was writing a few essays. And obviously, phenomenology, a topic that I'm deeply interested in. I think I'm essentially a phenomenologist and many other things, but that's one thing I am for sure. And though it's funny, I bought this book because I'm currently writing an essay that I started writing out of sheer annoyance at James Lindsay, this guy, this kind of like right-wing, anti-woke person, who said that all phenomenology is, or he said that all leftism is just is a byproduct. Or leftism is inspired by this philosophy called phenomenology, which simply asserts that subjectivity is truth. And I saw that and I thought that is completely not true. That is just that's fake news. And it really annoyed me. You can probably see even now. I read this tweet like months ago, but even now I got totally annoyed by that because it's a complete caricature and mischaracterization of what phenomenology is. And therefore I started writing this essay called What Phenomenology Is Not. So I want to kind of try to understand phenomenology by what it isn't. And I feel like it's funny. I think the more I've started to delve into philosophy and theory, I've realized that sometimes the best way to grok a concept and understand a concept is by stating what it isn't instead of stating what it is. In some sense, even at least for me, it kind of sits better in my mind. So I bought this book. I'm certainly going to get to this soon. And the reason is because I want to hopefully publish that essay perhaps in about 2 months because I'm working on another one right now. Got too many essays pulling me from all sides, and I'm really not getting anything done. Unfortunately, that's just something that I tend to worry about quite a lot. The pleasures. So that's why I bought this book. It's in fact to write an essay. I want to get through all the basics as the name suggests. And the next book is An Event Perhaps, a biography of Jacques Derrida by Peter Salmon, sorry, not Salomon, Peter Salmon. And this was recommended by R.C. Walden. If I could find the video where he did recommend the book. So I think it was called R.C. Walden, Continental Philosophy or something. Let me see if I could find the video. So I love watching R.C. Robin, that's his name, Robin's videos. There we go. 5 interesting philosophy books, Continental edition. And he recommended the book. I'm pretty sure he recommended this book. Yes, An Event Perhaps. So I kind of want to get into Derrida and kind of post-structuralist way of thinking. I really at the moment just have like a very, very extremely peripheral, almost caricatured version of what post-structuralism is. And I thought something I really enjoy is, as Nietzsche said, all philosophy is a philosopher's biography. Is even before delving into the the philosophy, try and getting an idea from where the philosopher's coming from, which is rather antithetical to what Heidegger said about Aristotle, that he was just someone who was born, philosophized, and died. No, I actually am interested in the philosopher. I don't know why, but that's who I am. I generally am interested in the thinker and the background as to what the background in which the philosophy sits. So not just the thinker itself, but even the context, the historical context, the culture period, all of that. So yeah, I'm keen to get into this. I probably will get down with this first before getting into this, because this is just more. I'm assuming it's a bit of a lighter read compared to like reading theory per se, because it's a biography. But anyway, that's that. The next one was a gift. It was Far from the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy. I don't own any books by Thomas Hardy. At least I don't think I do. And I kind of want to read Thomas Hardy, just like a light read. I love reading philosophy, but at the same time, I really do want to read a lot more fiction. But man, I'm just such a theory nerd. I can't help myself. I'll probably read like one work. I'll probably read like one novel, but even that, like if I read Dostoevsky, for instance, I want to read it from like a philosophical lens. I can't just read it as a book or as a work of fiction, because I'm such a theory nerd. But nonetheless, this is a book, was recommended by a few friends. I heard that it was quite good, and I heard that it kind of delves into, as the what's this called, bibliography states, vividly portraying the superstitions and traditions of a small rural community far from the madding crowd, shows the precarious position of a woman in a man's world. So it certainly seems interesting. And then this book. Now, The Ethics of Ambiguity by Simone de Beauvoir. Of course, everyone knows who Simone de Beauvoir is, at least anyone who's marginally interested in philosophy. Simone de Beauvoir, of course, is known for her magnum opus, The Second Sex, but a lot of YouTubers, in fact, philosophy YouTubers that I deeply respect, have recommended this book because, at least from my understanding, I think Simone de Beauvoir has a much more reasonable, let's say, or I haven't got the word for it, but let's just say realistic, and take that word with a grain of salt. I don't know if that's a proper word. Realistic, realistic, let's say, like encapsulation of reality, if that makes sense, or what life is for a human being, for a Dasein. Because Jean-Paul Sartre, he kind of has this idea of like the transcendent consciousness, that is free-floating consciousness everywhere. But given that Simone de Beauvoir was a woman in a time where, I believe when she was writing, women couldn't even work without getting permission from men or something. But even in France, it was a very progressive country for the time. Nonetheless, there was she lived in a deeply patriarchal system. Therefore, her understanding of what it means to exist in the world, especially being a woman, I think is a lot more realistic, because she talks about this kind of contradiction between being a free being, but also the fact that we are, in fact, in a structure, in a society, in a historical period. We also have this kind of there's a word by Paul Tillich. There's a term by Paul Tillich. Let me try to look it up, because I just referred to it. Let me see if I could. It's in this. Oh, I think it was Masculinity and Nothingness. Yes. So in this essay, I did quote Tillich. Let me see if I could find it. Man is essentially finite freedom. This idea of finite freedom. That doesn't mean we're not free, but our freedom comes within a certain structure that, in some sense, makes the freedom finitude. It's not like this free-floating Sartrean consciousness that we just can do whatever we want. And, perhaps Sartre wrote from a position of privilege, being a man in France in his time, whereas Simone de Beauvoir had a different experience, being a woman. So this book beautifully captures that kind of ambiguity to existence, this kind of almost antagonism of what it means to be human, and then of course the ethical and moral implications that come from it. So I'm really going to get into this. This is probably going to go right to the top of my list of books to read. Perhaps once I'm done with this one, because I'm writing an essay, I'll probably get on this. So certainly excited to read The Ethics of Ambiguity by Simone de Beauvoir. And then comes the next one. So it's this big boy, Less Than Nothing by my hero, Slavoj Žižek. This is a book that I will jump into this year for sure. The reason being, this year I kind of set myself a goal in terms of my education and my studying in philosophy. It was to deeply study I would say the two main thinkers that have influenced my life to this moment in the deepest possible way. Paul Tillich and of course Slavoj Žižek. So studying these two thinkers of course means studying all the other thinkers that influence them. So it's a huge project that I've set for myself, and I want to embark on it, and I've already embarked on it, let's say. And that means going through essentially their magnum opuses. So for Paul Tillich, it would be, Systematic Theology, the monograph. It's got 3 volumes, and I own it too. I'm slowly getting through that. But then for Slavoj Žižek, a lot of people who read Žižek quite deeply recommend this book and the parallax view. So this is his book on Hegel. Hegel and the Shadow of Dialectical Materialism. So this is certainly something I'm going to jump into soon because I want to get a better understanding of Hegel. I don't know. It's funny. Just had a conversation with P.F. Young, great guy Paul, and I realized that I was trying to explain to him the Hegelian triad, and I think I totally butchered it. I wasn't even sure if I should take that bit out because I didn't want to misrepresent Hegel. But I just thought, hey, look, it's a conversation. We were just chatting. It was really casual. So if I'm just spewing bullshit, someone will correct me, and if I'm not, I'll hopefully correct myself sometime in the future when I have a better understanding of Hegel. So definitely gonna work on this. In fact, if it's possible, it's a big boy. I might even do a lecture series on this book if it's within my capacity, because man, it's a lot to get through. The next one is Religion and Nothingness by Nishitani, Keiji Nishitani. Of course, a book that John Oveki has recommended many times. In fact, in his latest lecture series, which is what was it? After Socrates, is it? Oveki. Yes, in his lecture series, I think in episode 5, he states that this was in the top 5 books that he's read. And John Oveki is also someone I really like. I really enjoy listening to his work, despite, interestingly, I think theoretically, his point of views or his understanding of reality is a lot more different to the other thinker that I would consider myself Žižekian. So Slavoj Žižek and John Oveki probably have this fundamental conflict in their theories. It's interesting, just to go off on a bit of a tangent here. I think a lot of the modern debate between different intellectuals is kind of between, there's Freud, and then there's Jung, and then there's Lacan. And I think it's between these 3 thinkers. So everyone influenced by Freud, Jung, Lacan, they go their own way and create their own philosophies, and that's where the conflict lies. So John Vervaeke would probably be more of a Jungian, less than a Freudian, and then Žižek would be more of a Freudian and Lacanian, or Lacanian. So that's where the conflict lies. Nonetheless, just thinking out loud here. The next book is Capital by Thomas Piketty. I listened to a recent episode on Pillspot. I love this channel so much. I don't know the guy's real name. I don't think he probably goes by his pseudonym online, Pillspot, and they had this episode where they talk about, it's called The Idea of Communism. It's very interesting. It was in fact done on I believe an event that Alain Bajot and a few other thinkers, mainstream leftists, or the popular leftist intellectuals of our time, got together and discussed the idea of communism. So it's important to understand here, it's the word idea, that it's the concept of communism. It's not about the practical implementations. Different thing. And they did mention this book, not Pills per se, but another guest on the podcast did mention this book, Capital, by Thomas Piketty. And I know it's another big one. I don't know if I'll get into it this year. Hopefully. Definitely I want to first get through Žižek's book on Hegel. But maybe after that, I'll get into this book. And the reason I like it is because as much as I love philosophy and concepts, I also do look for practical material implementations of these concepts. It's something, I think as a person who's politically involved has to think about. It can't all be philosophizing at one point. It has to be implementation. This is perhaps my engineering side coming in. And they discuss that Thomas Piketty does give some very tangible, practical solutions as to how how we can live in a post-capitalist society, as to how we can implement new systems that make society more egalitarian and ensure that there's less suffering in this world. And it's a new way of thinking about capital, as the name suggests, in the 21st century, because we do live in a post-capitalist society. And I think society is, over here, I'm a complete Žižekian. I think the only universal is conflict. I think the only universal is antagonism. So in some sense, in a very Nietzschean way, society is about constantly recreating ourselves and then broader society. There never is the good old days, nor will there ever be the utopia that some people might aspire to have. Therefore, there never is the end of history. That never happens, as Francis Fukuyama suggested. At least that's my current understanding. And that's it. Those are the books. I hope you all enjoyed this book haul. Sorry if I'm blabbering. I kind of did that intentionally because, well, this is not a scripted thing. It's just me thinking out loud here. And if there are any other books that you think are, let's say, tangentially related to these books that I discussed, please do leave them down in the comment section. And I'll be keen to check them out and perhaps even end up buying them. But thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Not only the next book haul, but even in the next video, which probably, I've got one on my other world, the software engineering world, where I'm doing on effective Java, which I shall record soon. And then the other one is I'm excited for this actually, a Twitter space that I'll be I'll be a guest in with my brother, Ewan Go, who I'm hoping to have on the podcast soon because this guy, I love him to death, but also he's a smart bloke. So it would be interesting to have a conversation with him. Cool. See you in the next one. Take care. Cheers.